Here we go. There we go. All right, let's call the meeting to order. Is the mic on?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Can we have a roll call, please?
Carol Killian, Christos Mavros,
Here.
Verona, sorry, Larry McDermott,
Here.
Victor Gooden,
Here.
Harry Lloyd,
Present.
Bob Brand,
Here.
Mr. Keith Norden,
Here.
Nancy Kiefer. Here. Katrina Frell. Helga Van Eckert. Taiwan
Yeah.
Harrington. Or Brad Harris.
No.
I'm replacing.
Yeah. Keep us here in place of Tawan.
I work for Tawan.
And
Oh, note
let it be
that
noted that Carol Killian
Is that
just
on
joined
total?
us.
Carol Killian's in the house.
All right, everyone was emailed minutes for the last meeting in June. Can we have a motion to approve the minutes, please?
So moved.
We have a second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Let's start with our reports. I see Katrina is not here, so we will move on to Keith Norden with Team Volusia.
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity to update the advisory board. We continue to stay active as far as project activity. We have about 5 projects in negotiation right now. We have a visit next week by one of our projects that is seriously looking at us, so we're excited about that. And currently we have about 100 projects in the pipeline in various levels of stages. Very, very pleased that we have acquired and have engaged with Boyette Strategic Advisors. That's Del Boyette and Tracy Sharp. They've done a lot of work in the county through the years with us. They did our last 3-year strategy, and they're coming in the 26th and through the 28th of September to begin work on our 5-year strategy. So we hope to have them present the results at our annual meeting on March 7th. So that will be a way for the whole community to hear their views of Volusia County and our next 5-year plan.
Very good.
I also joined Mr. Brown, and I was pleased to be included in SEDC's annual meeting, which occurred in Virginia. I've been active for many years in the organization, but it was a great program, 27 presentations by 55 top site locators and professionals around the country. So it was a great meeting, very informational. Tawan is at the IEDC meeting now in Dallas this week, and so a lot of activities going on. We did do a community effort at ICSC Florida in Orlando, which many of our locals who are interested in retail and commercial attended with us. So it was a great way to have our local practitioners come and join our exhibit, and that was in August.
Very good.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Keith.
Let me ask a question, please. So with the interest rates increases and that type of thing, is the activity slowed down or
It slowed
stayed the
down.
same?
It slowed down a little bit, and part of the reason is what's been out in the media in economic development about the repositioning of Enterprise Florida into a new Department of Commerce. It's called Florida Commerce. And so, you know, the perceptions out there may be out there that, you know, what's going on with Florida as far as incentives and
It's morphing basically, and
yeah,
you know.
it's morphed. It
Yeah.
hasn't really changed. The only change was one business recruitment arm that was public-private, and they're trying to redo that because, of course, being a state agency, it's not set up for private funding. That should come about the end of the year so that Team Florida can be repositioned into something else. But international is going strong. There's still a lot of activities. The Secretary of State is leading, well, actually, Eric Szilagyi is leading the U.S. contingent for SEUS Japan, which takes place next month. That's where 7 states come together, 7 southeastern states come together and are hosted by the Japanese, and a lot of executives, top-level executives from Japanese corporations are involved in that. And so we're excited to be part of that, and that will show others in the Southeast that we still are present and we have our recruitment efforts still going strong.
Do you find Florida's effort in recruitment of business as strong as states like South Carolina?
With the exception of the incentives.
Right.
So
Okay.
that would be,
They pile on the incentives in
Yes.
South Carolina and Georgia pretty
yes.
high. Yeah.
And in our, there's a belief, we have a couple of incentive programs for high-impact corporate investment. They are still around, but the QTI program, that was a bit of money for each job if it was in a targeted industry, and if it was over 115% of the county's average, is gone. And so we would hope to resurrect that someday in the future, but I'm not sure, when that will occur.
Is that up to individual counties and municipalities to provide incentives?
Actually, Volusia County, thank goodness, the county division has somewhat replicated the QTI program, and they're requiring the typical match that Florida required from the local community, which was the county many times. And so they've resurrected that in a similar fashion, but there is a cap.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm encouraged. It's just going to take time to set everything up. And it's the perception out there that
I've got a
maybe,
quick
you know,
question too. What, are any of the federal funds that came out of the COVID stuff part of, or still being used or not utilized?
I understand some are being used, but they're not being used as far as Team Volusia. And I'm
okay.
not sure about the county, what that use is.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Keith.
Thank you. Mr.
Move
Chairman.
on to Nancy Kiefer with the Daytona Beach Regional Chamber.
Yeah, good morning. So a lot of activity continuing at the chamber. We did have some events that were postponed due to the last hurricane threat, so they've all been rescheduled. One of which is the elected officials icebreaker, which is scheduled for October 2nd at Brown and Brown Rooftop. We invite all of the elected officials for every city, the county, the state, and the federal to join us, and people can come and very informally network with them. No official program other than to shake hands and get to know people. So that is October 10th. Registration can be made through the chamber.
October
I'm
2nd.
sorry, 2nd, yes. I read and speak differently. Thank you for keeping me in control.
You never claim.
Also, our next Eggs and Issues program will be on November 9th, and that will feature 3 constitutional officers for Volusia County, Laura Roth, Will Robertson, Larry Bartlett. We're going to have a fun interaction with them, explaining what their offices entail, and do a lot of Q&A from the business community and those in attendance as to what goes on and comes out of those particular offices. The candidate training program we will be doing will be held on November 28th. That is open to everybody, no charge. Anybody who's interested in potentially running for office, running a campaign, it's a full day training, and we'll have some great speakers there that have a lot of knowledge about what candidates need to do in order to run a successful campaign. So we'll be really promoting that coming up in this next week. That was, again, a reschedule. So just trying to fit all these programs in. Just an update, too, if you didn't get a notice, FDOT is coming in for another PD&E study on LPGA. That'll be in person October 11th. That'll be at the News Journal Center at 5:30. There are also virtual options the day before if you want to attend via phone and/or computer. So those are some upcoming activities that are going on that might be helpful, and happy to answer any questions you may have.
So for the FDOT LPGA meeting, is there opportunity for a lot of public input there?
It is a public hearing.
So that is,
Yeah,
explain
it is.
explain the forum.
So they will be doing an actual presentation. It's not one where you just walk in and look at maps and talk.
Right.
This one will actually have an official presentation that starts at 6 o'clock, showing the maps, the progress of where they're at. And it is, again, a public participation, so an opportunity to provide feedback and comment on where they stand with the PD&E study.
And what date is that again?
The in-person is October 11th at the News Journal Center, 5:30. The presentation actually starts at 6.
Okay. Very good. Any other reports that anyone would like to volunteer? Old business? Nothing?
Well, Mr. Brown has a,
Oh,
Mr. Brown wants a
Oh, okay.
report.
oh, I'm sorry, Jeff.
No worries. I presented the TRT report for the summertime for you to have at your reading pleasure. Also, since we last met, we did complete the lease with Senior Frogs. So that is signed, and they will be working through the development review process. And they have indicated to us to have a very aggressive construction schedule. So hopefully by even maybe mid-year next year, if not by the end of next year, we'll have the Senior Frogs facility open. As Keith mentioned, I did attend the SCDC meeting in Virginia as well. I thought it was a much better program than the thing I went to or that Tawan's at this week, that it's more local organizations that attend this meeting and a lot of good conversations. We were able to respond directly to 4 property inquiries from Team Volusia. We worked with another company that came to us trying to identify some space from out of state. They're a local company. They had a business, I think, further south, and they moved to Texas. Then they wanted to come back. We did not have anything available for them, so I turned it over to Team Volusia to maybe see if we can keep them in Volusia County if we can't get them here. They were only looking for about 10,000 square feet, and we just do not have that kind of available space inside our city limits right now.
Jeff,
Sir?
check with me.
Okay. All right. So I met with some property owners that I did identify then, was able to identify some current space that's available, about 28,000. I even had a conversation with the previous company I just mentioned to try to locate them here, and that's way too big and even bigger than what our expansion plans we're looking for. So, but now that I know we have that kind of space available, now when those inquiries come in from Keith, they had some pretty high ceilings in the facility as well. Also met and gave a presentation to the Volusia County Realtors, and in particular the industrial and commercial realtors a few weeks ago. Made a lot of good contacts there and presented some information that, matter of fact, I didn't even get to, but I hope that will spur some inquiries, because one of the things that I include with a lot of my presentations now is our CRA programs. So that if you're in the CRA, there's some things that we can do with leaseholders that we normally or most places won't do with people going into a lease facility. Last but not least, I know one of the things I'm not able to put in yet because I got to get with staff that deal with our new computer program to be able to create our housing COs that we issue on a monthly basis. So I got to get with them and find out now how to get that information extracted out. But we did see from the Bureau of Economic and Business Research that between April 1st, 2020 and April 1st, 2023, the city went from about 77,000 to almost 81,000. So a net increase over the last 3 years of approximately 3,000 people. And when you calculate that out, that's about 9 people a day are moving to the city of Daytona Beach. So when a lot of people ask me, they say, well, they're building these apartments, why? Well, here's part of the reason why is because we still see this influx of people. Where they're coming from, we haven't been able to ascertain that yet. We're hoping that we have access to a platform, maybe we can extract that information out of that platform.
Very good.
Also, one last thing, I'm trying to line up some speakers. I know that Carol gave me a name. I'm going to be working with that. And also trying to get Frank Kelleher from the Speedway to come in and give a presentation. I had a chance to meet with him a few weeks ago during Leadership Daytona and talk to him about coming and making a presentation because he had a really good presentation on not only the impact that the Speedway has on the community, but a lot of people, and even as much as I know what goes on at the Speedway, they pretty much have an event there every month, major event, that I don't think a lot of people recognize and realize. And sometimes it's just putting those dots together to say, here's what the real impact is. So beyond the meetings that they now can hold in their space there, but major events, we're do that. I'm going to try to get somebody from the Ocean Center because I think that's another major impact to this community that people just don't realize in our tourism section, because there's a lot of times they don't advertise a lot of the events that take place in that building, but it has a major impact as well.
Jeff, can you give us an update on Beach Street? I know the Esplanade announced their formal opening of South End early next month, I believe it is. But the new apartment project that's coming, how far are they away?
So I know they're really close. And I asked Dennis before the end of the summer, and I cannot remember the exact answer that he gave me. But I'll email everybody out a status report on that. But I know that the last time that I heard staff talking about it, they were talking about facades for the parking deck that they're building. And I figure if they're getting to that point, we're pretty close. And I think there was an issue with utilities that they were still trying to iron out. But I'll double check and I'll email everybody back out that information.
Yeah, I think it'd be nice to get an update on that, on the status of the downtown, new projects that are coming. You know, there are some vacant parcels down there that everybody kind of watches to see what's going to happen. So as updates arise there.
Mr. Chairman, I tell you, until they figure out the stormwater issues on Beach Street, it is, it's difficult for companies to come in and visualize that they'll have 3 feet of water in their building if we have a bad storm.
Yeah, and that is very true.
They've got to really figure that out.
We're representing a property owner down there that is, has put their building up for sale, and that's a big issue every time. You know, I don't know how we get around that issue.
And I know we had an issue up on Mason, same kind of situation. It's in the flood zone.
I have a solution, but nobody will listen to me. No,
What is it, bulldoze everything down?
no, Lake Tuscaloosa.
Say again?
Lake Tuscaloosa. Take the Tuscaloosa Park and make it a perk pond. It works. It takes all that water out of Midtown, all the water out of downtown, pump it to the west, and it make a nice
Lake?
public lake and fishing area for people in Daytona Beach, which we don't have.
There you go. Problem solved.
I vote yes.
Nancy?
No, just to mention, you had brought up the Esplanade grand opening, and I should have brought that up during my report as well. That is October 6th from 5 to 8 p.m., the South Side grand opening of the Esplanade, open to the public.
That's exciting, good. Okay,
I have one
Sure.
question back on, you've listed number 10, the discussing the development of can you expand on that a little bit? Multifamily there on LPGA and 95?
So there's a series of properties from just behind,
Humane Society?
yeah, the Humane Society, thank you. I was going to say Habitat, but I knew that wasn't it. So from there all the way up to 40, there's a
Okay.
series of properties. We've
Right.
had, in the year and a half that I've been here, I think we've had, this is the third group that has come in to have preliminary discussions about having some development in that property. And that's really all that,
Okay,
because the TRT, you know, it ranges from anybody just having an idea, hey, I want to do something.
okay,
What do I need to do? What kind of zoning do I need? What kind of this? To people that are, or to groups that are, here, I've got a site plan. I'm already working with an engineer, architect, everything, and that's, you know, kind of, they're ahead of the game even before they get into the game.
okay,
And this was a group that had some preliminary site plan, and it's, you know, here's the issues you need to be concerned about.
just add more traffic to that whole area, yeah, right.
Well, and what I think scares off a lot of people
Sure.
from that is the Tomoka,
Sure,
Impact on the Tomoka River.
yeah.
yeah, that whole
And-
issue, yeah,
You know, and when you have the setback of, what I think it's 300 feet from the edge of the floodplain, then I think that really starts
thank you,
cutting into the development on that site, and people then kind of walk away from it.
okay, thank you.
One project I don't see here is one I emailed you about,
You did.
by the marina.
Yeah, and I've not seen anything more come in to staff on it, so what I suspect has happened is, as part of our development process, you have to have those local meetings. And I think they're now addressing those, and will probably come back at a later time with those, with a revised plan.
Yeah, Bob, this is that project on South Beach Street by the marina. It's going to take some of the marina property, and it's going to be industrial-based or warehouse-based.
The municipal marina?
Yeah, down there where the old boat works is in that
Okay,
area, and
yeah,
there's some
okay.
vacant land down that way. Maybe a little bit south of that, it's on Beach Street.
Okay.
Yeah, they're talking about doing boat storage on the
Yeah.
one side of the street, and then forklifted, basically your boat across the street and put it in the basin there.
It'd be a great project because this boat storage is a premium right now.
Sure,
Really?
very good. Okay, anything else?
I have one question.
Sure.
Is there any updates on the proposed condo development in 2000 North Atlantic? I see a lot of activity there, and a lot of people from the neighborhood are like, what are they doing? There's a bunch of cranes there. Are they doing the seawall or what?
Seawall.
Have you
Probably,
got any updates?
I don't, I'll double check on that one and send
Hey,
it as
Chris,
well.
that's a seawall. I was down there walking down there the other
Okay.
day, and
Yeah,
2000.
And the 2000 block is,
across from Steve's, that big,
okay,
the 4 parcels.
got it.
Yeah, that big vacant
Okay.
chunk.
They haven't submitted anything yet. They haven't.
Not that I'm aware of.
Meetings, the neighborhood meetings and everything, but
I'll double check.
I'm not sure if they have required to have a city permit. I know that they have to have a permit from the state to do that. I'm not, and maybe even the county, since it is on beach property. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll find out exactly, and I'll email it to everybody as well.
Okay. If there's nothing further, we'll move on to new business. Board members, what have we got there?
So I got a meeting tomorrow with the city manager, and that's on my agenda to ask him, because it was on at one point, and then it got pulled, and I'm not really sure, and I can't really find out why it's been pulled.
I know we had a number of applicants for open seats,
And we got probably
a number of
10.
good quality applicants.
Correct.
From what I hear.
So that's included in my, he doesn't realize that yet, but that's included in my agenda with this other meeting.
So, what's the timeline if there are if we're selecting new applicants, and when would we see them here?
So the next meeting after they're appointed,
Okay.
they would be eligible to sit, and we would have them here.
The commission has a vote on them.
Correct.
Do we know how many new members or how many seats are being filled?
Just one. All we got is one vacant.
And you had what? You had Bud Ritchie, you had Chris Bowler, and you had Loretta Arthur.
And you had, I think there were 10.
Geez, there
Oh,
was
there
like
were
10.
10?
I had heard.
Yeah, if
saw
you go back
three.
and check,
It was a
yeah.
long list, yeah.
Yeah,
I must have missed something.
yeah, I sent out the email, I don't know, maybe about a month ago with an update of how many we had, and there's now, it's a substantial list.
Right, yeah.
Um,
So it's a matter of picking and choosing who, who really wants to step up, yeah, right. We went from nobody to everybody.
I made that suggestion. I said, hey, if you just want
Yeah,
people,
really.
just make that tweak, and all of a sudden you'll have all kinds of respondents.
Larry sent out a bulk email. Right, Larry?
I've got them all.
This
All
isn't,
3,257.
this
You know-
isn't really new business, but I just wanted to make a comment about our Citizens Academy, that they had a reunion of all of them last Tuesday. And I think I was in the original 209. We couldn't quite remember. But the reason I'm bringing it up is they're going to have it again, I think in January. And it's a terrific way of those of us who've done it before, and even new people, and anybody sitting here at this table, to go through this academy again. It's a one-day thing where, I think it's a one-day. I don't really remember, to tell you the truth, but you go into all of the different aspects of the city, and you meet with the heads of the various departments. I tell you, the growth that we've had here in this community over the last even 5 years has been phenomenal. And it's a lot of great information. So I'm just trying to say it for anybody who's watching this, check for the next one that's coming up and sign up for it. Even those folks at this table, yeah.
And one other comment before we leave this area is we had talked several months ago about trying to identify opportunities for future industrial development, whether it's county land that could be annexed, or redevelopment opportunities, because as we had discussed, we're quickly running out of area within the city to develop industrial job-creating buildings. So I just wanted to know if we can kind of at some point get an update on that.
Yeah. Well,
Passing
I'll
notes in
like that as
class.
Yeah, very good. Okay, let's move on to public comment. Would anyone like to stand up and step up to the microphone, please?
There you go.
We have
Anybody except for John Nicholson.
we have John Nichols.
I've heard that before.
Please.
When did you become Edith Shelley?
Uh-oh.
Yep, that's okay. She knows. A couple of things. At the mayor's conference, Live Local popped up, and Barry brought up a problem. They had an industrial, commercial property that would have brought in $2 million a year. And with Live Local, if they don't develop, they can turn them into apartments and pay no taxes a year. So the developers decided to allow it to vacate, and we'll develop the property and put apartments, affordable housing, up to $2,500 a month as affordable housing,
Ooh.
and they don't have to pay taxes on it. So I'm aware, letting you guys know it's out there, and if you can do anything about it, if it will affect your commercial property. So I'm asking you to just be aware of it. Secondly, fuel farms. Ormond was unaware that fuel farms could be placed on a property. They're up in arms. They've got the Ormond Beach City Commission, although the property's in the county. There's nothing they can do. It's already zoned that. So now they're fighting from behind on what they could do. Now, with the planning board, I've been fighting for 20 years now. We had a couple of properties that end up in submerged lands, one up by the Seabreeze Bridge. There's a submerged island, and they wanted to put a marina there right behind the people's homes. And the city said, well, they're allowed to do it. There's a property next to the boat on Beach Street. It's very narrow, but with the rights to build into the river, they could put a condo there with a 5-foot easement to the front for a sidewalk and 10 feet in the back, and nothing on the side road where you go into the Marina Point. So they would park all of their vehicles, and when they want to load, unload, do groceries, etc., in that lane to block everybody in and out. And the city says, well, there's nothing we can do about it because if they put a condo there, they're allowed to do it. So I've been fighting the submerged land. So I'm asking you to look at fuel farms and how we zone so that wherever that's going to be, it's not going to be where houses are or children's playgrounds or airport runways, which is what's happening up on the north end. Also, I've asked several times, is there a way of doing an incentive for, I think it's the gentleman's name is Cotton, that does pre-building? If we need 100,000 square feet or 200,000 square feet, if we can give an incentive where they don't pay any additional taxes, they can build, but until it's rented, they keep the old tax rate. So they don't lose anything by it. Because if they build, then they have to pay the higher tax rate. So this way they're prevented from building because of our tax structure. Is there a way of doing something about that? And lastly, Blue Road is about to hit the fan. Apparently, all the property from Main Street to the Salvation Army is under one ownership, and they want to build. And the Salvation Army to the canal is all, not necessarily one ownership, but they're all going to sell together. There's two huge developments apparently going up in that location. Plus, right next to where they're building the apartments, the old temple, it's up for sale. So hopefully the people that are building that will buy that property because it enhances their ability to develop. But all those things are happening, and just be aware of them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, John, just real quick, name and address for the record. You should know these things. You're a pro
John
at
Emerson,
this.
413 North Grandview Avenue. You guys were teasing me. What can I tell you?
You should know.
Thank you, John. Any other public comment? Okay, I guess let's schedule our next meeting is scheduled for what? October 18th.
18. Can't you see? Put your glasses on.
And Jeff, I will not be here.
Am I looking at September 20th?
No, right here. It's September 20th, October 18th.
Okay, got it. Okay. Yeah, October 18th. And with that, if there's nothing else, we'll.
I have one comment.
Okay.
I do too. So
Okay.
go ahead.
There's been a great cry for affordable housing, and you said $2,500 a month for affordable housing. I think you made a comment. We would need affordable housing if people made more money in Daytona Beach, Florida. I stayed my whole career here, where I could have gone to Atlanta or Orlando or different other places to do my banking career. I stayed here because I had good business friends here and people that helped me along the way, and I couldn't see going somewhere else. And I love Daytona Beach. I mean, I've lived here since I was 5. Well, in the area. I was in Ormond early years. Look, guys, that is the number one thing that can help us with affordable housing is have people who can make $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year. Okay, then they can afford a house or afford a decent apartment. They don't have to cram 2 families in an apartment. That's what they're doing right now. A lot of people are cramming 2 families in a 3-bedroom apartment out there off of LPGA, and that's what they're doing to make things work. The other thing is we need to, as a city, to also improve the transportation system out there out west, because Votran doesn't do a very good job right now providing workforce transportation from, let's say, the Midtown area to the jobs out west of town. And we've got a new ICE refrigeration unit thing coming in. I don't really know about it. I read it in the paper the other day. I didn't even know about it. And how can a person in Midtown who does not have a car get to that job? They can't. They can get within a mile of it, but then they're going to walk the next mile or ride a bike there. So these are the kinds of things that we as a community need to solve, and that's definitely an intra-governmental agreement between the county and the city, perhaps. But we've got to solve those kind of issues, because the people who need the jobs and need good paying jobs don't live out, well, they do live out west, but they're also living in Midtown. They're also living in the northern part or the southern part of the city. They need jobs in the worst way. And we need to get those jobs to those people. And right now they can't get to them or it's very difficult. So those are my 2 issues, and I put them on public record.
Carol?
I just wanted to reiterate the October 11th FDOT meeting about get people to please go to that. You said it's at the News Journal building, right? And they have sent out several notices, but I don't know that many residents really, especially in that area, are getting the news. I think every resident is supposed to get a notice on it, from what I understand. But it's really important, because they're the future plans of that whole area out there. The bridge is always the big question. So I just want to remind people to put October 11th on your calendar.
Very good.
So, Mr. Chairman, real quick, so I'll get with our communications team and make sure we get that notice put out in all of
Okay.
our stuff, and
Perfect.
Facebook and all of our stuff like that.
That'd be great.
To Mr. McDermott's point, we are working, the CRA is working on an alternative transportation system, for lack of a better term, that will address the issue that you just brought up, especially from Midtown, or actually any one of our CRA areas, about transportation deficiencies with citizenry that we can maybe address directly.
What prompts Votran to change or update their routes? So when a new facility like the cold storage facility out at Bevel Road and Williamson Boulevard comes in, what triggers Votran to say, we need to provide service to that area?
I don't know,
Is there a trigger?
but I'll find out.
Yeah.
Matter of
It
fact,
makes sense as you bring new job opportunities in.
correct.
We need to be somewhat nimble and able to respond to the changing.
Matter of fact, I'll put them on my speakers list now.
That's a good
Go
idea.
check that.
Good idea.
Well, why couldn't we ask someone for Votran to come here to speak to us?
That's what he said.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Okay.
Yeah, I'll put them on the list of speakers in the next couple of months.
I remember in the past, if you wanted to do anything at all, you had to go to Votran and give your case, make your case for why they need to go here and there and there. And sometimes that was more difficult than it should have been. But that's how we need to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to know what role the city
Yeah.
plays in that
Yeah.
and how they can
Right.
take a more active role, maybe. Okay, very good. Anything else? With that, we'll adjourn the meeting. We'll see everybody October 18th.
Okay. Thank you all.
Did you leave?